And then from a Jewish perspective, the Jewish New Year is the celebration of the creation of the world. God created the world at this season. And the biblical holiday known as the Feast of Trumpets or Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, is the day that God made Adam and Eve the first man and woman. So historically, it's a time of creation, but spiritually, it's a time of new creation transformation. God releases his creative power and potential in our lives that we might become new creation. The old might pass away and the new might come. When we blow the shofar, the ram's horn, on the biblical New Year, on the Feast of Trumpets, one of the main reasons is that it connects to the theme of creation and it connects to the theme of kingship. In ancient Israel, whenever a king was to be coronated, he would be coronated with the blast of the shofar, the ram's horn. Psalm 47, God has ascended amid shouts of joy, the Lord amid the sound of the shofar blast. Sing praises to God, sing praises to our King. God reigns over all the earth. God is seated on his holy throne. So friends, this time of year is the time of year. That's why I love what we were singing earlier, where we're called to coronate the Lord as the King of Kings. We're to remember and crown him as the King of Kings and look at our lives and make sure every area of our life is brought under his authority and kingship. We need to reconnect with him as Lord, but we need to reconnect with him as King. And many people like Jesus as friend, but we have to know him as King. See, the problem is people like Jesus the prophet, Jesus the teacher, but many people don't like Jesus the King. See, when we deny the Lord's kingship, it always leads to chaos. When his kingship is undermined, there is chaos in the world. And there's a famous Jewish prayer that we say on these days, say Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu means our Father, and Malkeinu means our King. But I want us to understand the significance of understanding him as King and as our Father. Now, I have a son, my youngest son, Judah, one day decided him and his friends were going to start a jewelry business. He was about 7 years old. And he said, Abba, Dad, me and my friends are in this business. Would you be our first customer? I said, sure. He said, but we want you to pay up front. So I gave him $10. They came back a little while later and they made me jewelry out of pipe cleaners and cotton balls. Now, if you ask me to pay you $10 for jewelry made out of pipe cleaners and cotton balls, we got a problem. But when my baby boy brings me jewelry out of cotton pipes and cotton balls and pipe cleaners, let me tell you, that's the most beautiful jewelry I've ever seen, and I'd pay $100 for it. Why? Because that's my boy. That's my son. That's my child. That's how God sees you. Our right to come before him is not primarily him as our king, but our right to come before him and to boldly come before him is that we are his sons and his daughters. And anything that we bring to him, he looks at like pipe cleaners and cotton balls. It's beautiful in his sight. But you know what's great news? He's not just a father. Listen, I'm a father, and I might be king of my castle, but I'm not a king in reality. But your Father in heaven is not just your Abba, he's king. That means he has unlimited power, authority, and resources. Acknowledging God as king is not some scary thing. Acknowledging God as king is one of the most foundational things to our identity because it means you are a child of the king. Come on. Turn to someone and say, you're a child of the King. If you don't understand that, then you don't understand the resources, the power and authority that is at your disposal. See, we underestimate that aspect of God. The fact that God is king and we're his children, that's really good news. A rabbi was asked, what's the worst sin? He said, to forget that you're a child of the king. He said, what's the second worst sin? He said, to know that you're a child of the king and not to live like one. The sound of the shofar at this time of the year is asking us a question. First, do you know you're a child of the king? Secondly, are you living like a child of the king?